Hey NAI football fans, Cory Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIFBALL podcast powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, we are back for another week of the NAIF Ball podcast brought to you by our friends at AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, like you just heard on the ad read there. Tonight we have for you the head coach of Reinhardt University, James Miller. Coach, how are you doing tonight? Did you get cold enough over Christmas?
It was freezing.
It was terrible.
Terrible.
It was.
It was probably, I think, Christmas Day. It was 6 degrees.
Oh dear Lord in heaven. Yeah,
so
we were in the teens.
A 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 7-year-old with my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Actually, no, my parents stuck in a house for 2 straight days. So today was finally the first day we've been able to get outside and enjoy the outdoors a little bit.
Holy cow! Yeah, we dipped into the we were in like the 17 to 19 degree range on Christmas Day, and for us down here in North Florida, that's
It's cold.
That is dang cold. Well, Coach, we do have an absolute ton to talk about. Well, Coach, we had a fun season last year, breaking in a new offensive coordinator. Talk to me about developing a different offense. It looked like it took maybe a couple games to really get going with that new look.
Yeah, I thought our first game we played well against Faulkner, and then we had some growing pains the next couple weeks. Obviously, we played a really good team in Bethel that was really good on defense, but we definitely had some growing pains, and I don't feel like we really hit our stride till game 5. Because we've completely changed what we've done. We went from being a wing tee, no huddle, go as fast as you can, to, I would say, a multiple. A lot probably like the 49ers or something of that nature. We can be in double tight ends. We could be in 4 wides. Definitely going to throw the ball a little bit more. But we hit our stride probably game 5, started playing pretty good, and then went into the playoffs, played a really good, I think one of the best defenses in the country in Lindsey Wilson. Started off really slow and then had the ability to make some plays at the end, but came up short.
One thing I do want to point out is actually Point, and what is up with Point's development? Because they put on a show that I don't think I've seen from them since we've been covering this, and possibly one of the best teams they've had since they went to the playoffs quite a few years ago.
Yeah, I think Coach Ziders has done a great job. They were very good on defense. They had one of the best linebackers we played all season, number 6, Aaron Anderson. I think he was 6. He was a really, really, really good football player. And they kept getting better as the year went on. The first time we played them was a really, really tough game. Kind of back and forth in the first half. We couldn't get anything going offensively, and then made some plays in the second half to kind of pull it out. But he's done a really good job kind of turning them around in a short period of time. He's done a great job with that defense. I think they've had 3 All-Americans 3 years in a row now on defense, and it's a testament to the kids and the coaches and the way they go about it. And he's been out there recruiting very, very aggressively. So you see him all throughout the state of Georgia offering kids and being aggressive recruiting. So he's done a phenomenal job getting that program turned around and headed back in the right direction.
Let's talk about that Lindsey Wilson game real quick. You're down 23-0 at the 7:04 mark in the fourth quarter. You just get pick sixed. What clicks? Because from that point on, it is y'all take the momentum back and fast. What happened there on the sidelines there to get that going?
The whole going into that game, we told the kids just keep playing the next play. Don't worry about what happens, whether it's a good play, it's a 30-yard gain, or whether it's a sack. Don't worry about what happens. Just play the next play. And our kids bought into it. I don't know what really clicked. We got the score really quick after they scored the pick six. We got a quick touchdown, and then we went for the onside, which we saw at halftime as a staff that we had the potential to do the middle dribble, and we ended up getting it, and we scored again in 6 plays. So I mean, very quickly it turned into a one possession game. We had all our timeouts, so we were able to kick off instead of having to go for onside again, and we eventually got the 3-and-out. Had to use all the timeouts, and then our kids put a great 2-minute drive together, scored a touchdown, and kicked the extra point. They had too many men on the field, and we went for two and didn't get it. And it was unfortunate. It was a great game. I texted Coach Keckler after the game and just told him, it was one of the best games I've ever been a part of, because I thought both teams were just absolutely going at each other. And they got a really good squad. Their defense is, I think, besides 2019 Marion, that's the best defense I've played.
Wow.
Since I've been in NAI. And their linebacker, Bowman, is as good as I've seen. They had a kid that I thought was right there with Bowman, number 40, Helick, I think is how you pronounce it. I might be saying that wrong. But he's as good a player as I've seen as well. And he's an underclassman. I mean, he's very, very good player. And I know they wish they had him out there that day. But they just got a really good defense. They did some really good stuff in the run game on offense. And we made some mistakes in the first half. We could have had a couple plays that we left out there because, we got inside the 20 and our running back fumbled the football, and then we had an explosive play where our quarterback ran for 20 yards, but really our running back went the wrong way, or else I think it could have been a bigger play. But to take nothing away from them, I don't want to take anything away from them, because they're a phenomenal football program, and Coach Klecker's done a phenomenal job of that defense. So they were really good.
I know it's kind of the common knowledge, at least among fans, that you always go for the win on the road and the tie at home. Do you regret not kicking the extra point the second time and tying it up?
No, I don't regret it at all. Our kids wanted to do it. They were screaming for it on the sideline, and I wanted to do it. I felt like we had the momentum. We had some guys banged up, and not that I probably even thought about that during the game, but looking back at it, I think it was the right decision.
I mean, if not for the holding call, I mean, you're right there in it, there on that 2-point conversion. No, we were doing a live watch along, and the last two games of the day were Lindsey Wilson Reinhardt and Bethel and Kaiser. And,
Oh boy.
oh, I know, man. Just absolutely. I at points said out loud, "Oh, Kaiser's dead. There's no way they're coming back from this one." Boy, was I wrong there. And I, honestly thought Ryan, y'all were dead as well, down 23-0. I'm going, oh man, they're just not getting anything together today, and run game's not coming together. And then the explosive play happens, and it's off to the races.
And that's really all it takes, man. It takes one play to kind of get the momentum back. And then if you can turn one play into two plays into four play, so on and so on, you can regain the momentum. And I feel like our kids did that, and they believed in what we were doing the entire time. And they just kept playing, kept playing, and kept playing, and kept playing. And it's probably in my, I don't know, 8 years, 7 years being the head coach, probably the proudest of any football team I've ever been associated with, because a lot of teams would have gave up, and our kids never gave up.
Well, Coach, you are entering your seventh season, if I can do math correctly, as the head coach of
Yes.
Reinhardt. It's actually going to be your 10th with Reinhardt, I believe, if I do the math correctly on that one as well. You do return a lot of starters, especially the running back positions between Lewis Morris and Tyrus McKee. Unfortunately, you do lose Hunter Arders, your signal caller, who came on so strong at the end of the year, and Devin Collins, a 1,000-yard rusher for you, as well as Kamana Stockdale, who was a first-team All-AAC tight end. Talk to me about continuing to develop in the offense and getting better in year two with more familiarity with that, your terminology and your playbook.
All those guys are big losses. Arders was a gym rat, first guy in the building, last guy to leave. I know that's a cliche, but that's who he was. He would get there every day because he was in grad schools, and all of it was online. So he'd get there every day at 10 and wouldn't leave till probably 7 p.m. that night. Um, he was just a phenomenal guy, phenomenal competitor, wanted to do right by everybody, just that kind of kid. Devin was a hard-nosed, old-school downhill running back. Kamante was a grad transfer that we got from Fayetteville State that was a great transfer, and that can go, one or two ways, usually either good or bad, and he was great, phenomenal kid. And then, probably some of our bigger losses are going to be up front. We lost our left tackle, who's a two-time All-American, four-time All-Conference, and our starting center, who was an old-school leader, a guy that would, tell you what he thought and didn't really give a shit what you thought, to be honest with you. So he was an old-school type leader. But that's what makes coaching fun. That's what makes it a challenge, is to see who's going to be that next those next guys that are going to step up and take advantage of opportunities. And I feel like we have some really good football players coming back up front on offense. We have some really explosive guys coming back with Ty McKee and Ja Colbert, and we got some quarterbacks that are going to be in the mix. A transfer from Bavard, a kid named Ethan Rice, a kid named Stephen Craig are all going to be in the mix for that starting quarterback job. So it's going to be exciting to see who's going to step up to the challenge, who's going to take the leadership roles. That's why we make our off season as hard as we possibly can to help kind of see who those guys are and who's going to be at the forefront of what we're trying to do next season. Because one thing that is going to be good is we're going to be ingrained in our offense now for a full year with Coach Poe calling the plays, and that's going to make everything from the transition from just familiarity, all those type things, a little bit easier.
Now, on defense, you do have a lot coming back, especially in your secondary between Kellen Neal, Tyler Hallam, and Kevion Whitlock there. Um, I see in the stat line that Tyler Hallam has 16 pass breakups and only 1 interception. My man's got to get a little bit of work in with the wide receivers there. He could have a whale of a year coming.
He's a very, very talented football player. I think when I put all conference this year, you can write comments in there, and I wrote he's our best player overall, and I mean that. He's a great kid. Um, just comes from a great family. He does a great job. Never complains. Shows up every day. Does what we ask. Um, he's got a chance to be very special. Very, very special. Whitlock is a leader. Very physical. And then we return a lot up front. I think we got the main three guys that played a lot last year back up front, and so that's going to add some depth. And then there's a couple freshmen that redshirted this year or played a little bit that I feel like can get into the mix and are going to have a great shot this spring. So Coach Blue, we gotta find 2 linebackers that we feel like can help us. Which we feel like we have a couple guys in the program that can do that with Orlando Gandy and Kendrick Hawkins, who are older guys that have some experience. So again, he's gonna have his hands full, Coach Blue, getting this thing all together and organized how he wants it. But Coach Blue and Coach Jackson and Coach Matthews and Coach Peoples, I'm extremely blessed. I deal with offense only. I don't really mess with those guys a whole lot. They kind of handle themselves. Coach Blue's the leader, and then the rest of the guys follow right behind them, and they do a great job. And I'm just blessed to have those guys on my staff.
So I'm gonna give you a magic wand here, and I'm gonna let you make whatever changes you want to decide how teams make the playoffs. Obviously we saw this year that there's a little weirdness sometimes in the seating and all that stuff. What changes would you make with a perfect playoff for you?
I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to judge. I don't want to be in those guys' shoes, and I'm probably copping out saying it, but I do feel like St. Thomas should have made it. I feel like their resume was good enough for them to make it. Um, I feel like that league down there is really, really good. The Sun Conference. We're playing Southeastern early in the year, which is going to be a really tough game for us. Um, so I feel like that league is very strong, though, um, and I feel like their out of conference resume was really good. I think maybe adding some teams to that large bid, maybe making the group a little bit larger would help things. If that's feasible within everything that we're doing. Because what we're doing right now, as far as when we made the transition to having to buy in to be in the playoffs, if you've played a certain number of years in the playoffs, you got to pay a certain amount every year, and it transitions for every team. To create, teams that got to travel, you get reimbursed. And I feel like that's really helped us. So I think, I guess what I'm saying is I like the model we have right now. I feel like it's a really good model. I feel like the only thing that really could maybe help it is maybe adding some teams and having the ability to maybe broaden us out a little bit more. Maybe a first round bye, and then you get some maybe 4 more at large bids. Which, if you had 4 more at large bids, you got 4 more really good teams adding to the pool. Um, being St. Thomas, and I know I'm leaving other really good teams out, but I think that would probably be my thing that I would change. But I think those guys that got to make those decisions on who's in and who's out, it's tough. It's tough. And as much as, it upset St. Thomas and their head football coach and their administration, it's hard on those guys to make those decisions because you're going to make somebody pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you like it or not. So I think because I like what we do at our level where winning your conference means something and it's important. I think that's a positive because now it's important to the kids, and then it's important to getting into the show. You got to win your conference. So I really like that as well. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, the other teams this year that you would have been able to bring in, just off the top of my head, would have been St. Thomas, Bethel of Kansas, Georgetown.
Yeah.
I mean, Bethel of Kansas had a great year. Georgetown had a fantastic year once they found the quarterback that they wanted. Daggum Chris, you're not going to keep Chris Oliver out of the playoffs for long. I can tell you that straight.
No, he's a very good football coach. So
yeah,
I agree.
I think
that's a really good conference too. I mean, you got the Mid-South, you got some really good football teams in that conference, and he's one game away from probably getting in.
Yep. So let's talk about it. You've mentioned the Sun already. This year we broke up the Mid-South Conference into 3. Went kind of back to the old school way of doing it there, with the Mid-South being your Kentucky teams plus redheaded stepchild Faulkner, and the Sun Conference and the AAC. And I know it's hard with the teams that you've got in the AAC, and the Sun has the exact same issue because you don't have enough teams to play just everybody. You got to do some doubling up or do like Kaiser and take 15 whippings out there to big programs. Talk to me about developing a new conference sport and the unique challenges in trying to find those opponents and trying to break into that water again with the AAC.
I think in the end, it ended up helping everybody a little bit, maybe except for the Florida schools. It's just the travel when we were a mega conference was just, it had kind of gotten astronomical at times. Maybe not for us as much, but I know for like Georgetown to go to Ave Maria that's expensive.
That's a long
probably not something they want to do once a year. So, because that's kind of like a late playoff trip. And it can really strap a program when you have to do that once or multiple times in a year. I think Point had to do it 2 or 3 times one year, go to Florida, which makes it hard. So I think splitting up, in my opinion, was probably the best for everybody. Now it makes it really hard on the Florida schools to find games like you saw in Kaiser. I think that was part of the reason they had to play some of the out-of-conference teams they had to. But I think it ended up probably helping them in the playoffs, prepare for what was coming down the road. So I think that's part of the challenge. Now, we were fortunate enough to make a conference alignment or an out-of-conference alignment to schedule games, which I'm not sure what the future of that is, but for the last 2 years, it's given us our 4 out-of-conference games, which makes it easier on me because I don't have to go hunt for games. And then we added in Southeastern this year, so that kind of helped them out as far as travel and stuff. But I think in my opinion, it was for the best of everybody to kind of split off and and separate the mega conference, because I just think the travel, it just kind of got out of whack, and you really couldn't afford it. So in the end, I think it was for the best.
People don't
But
realize how big the South is, and especially
oh
how big Florida is. I mean, for point, getting to North Florida is 3.5 hours, but to get all the way down the state, that's
yeah,
that's like going 3 states over for some of
yeah,
these.
I want to say for us to go to Ava was like 9 or 10.
So that's a long trip. I mean, it's
So
5.
imagine Georgetown.
Yeah.
Georgetown's 6 from us.
Yeah, I know for me to get to Atlanta from here in North Florida is about 5 hours. So I can see it being about 9 or 10 to Ave. That's that's just absurd. The only one I feel bad for is Faulkner. I'm like going, guys, you gonna you gonna be close to some folks here? Um,
Yeah.
so but Faulkner's gonna do what Faulkner's gonna do. Um, So, Coach, if we both know if you're not constantly improving and trying to get better with your program, you're falling behind. We are definitely on a treadmill in that regard in college football. What area of your team, whether on the field or off the field, are you looking forward to improving the most in 2023?
I don't know anymore if you can just say you're looking in one area. I think we want to provide our football team, our players, as much competition as possible, because I think competition makes everybody better. I don't want a kid to ever feel comfortable. So we are going to try as hard as we can to find the best football players we can at every position, regardless of the year or who we have coming back. Um, we always want to try to provide competition for those areas, because again, I feel like it makes the guys that we have better. It makes them want to prove us wrong, which I think is a positive. Um, I feel like, but if I was to look at our football team, um, we got to find leadership up front on offense. I think that's going to be very, very important for us to be successful. Um, Obviously, we got to figure out what we got going on at quarterback, um, which I think is vital, because that's the most important position on every football team. Um, Defensively, we got to figure out linebacker. We got to figure out who's our guys, and put them in position to be successful. Um, and then add some depth in the secondary. I feel like we have some really good players in all those spots that I just mentioned, that I feel like they can step up and earn those spots. Um, but I would go back and say I think new leadership on each side of the ball is going to be crucial. Um, it's crucial every year. It's what makes or breaks a football team, um, and it's vital to how you perform, because you know in the end, I'm not out there on the field. Our kids are, and what they say goes a lot farther than what I say sometimes. And when you have that kind of leadership where kids will talk and kids will respond to what other kids say, that's when you're going to have something special. And that's what we try to strive for at Reinhardt. And so that's going to be probably the most crucial aspect. I think we got talent. I think we got good football players. I think we got good football players that can fill every hole I just mentioned. Um, and we're going to recruit guys to help fill those holes, or continue to develop. So I think I think all of it is important, and all of it is crucial to us being a good football team and us continuing to be a good program. Uh, I tell people all the time, I feel like every year it gets harder to continue to try to be successful. You just, your people are trying to do their best to knock you off, which is a good thing. That's where you want to be. That means we're doing something right. But it just every year it gets harder and harder. But that's why I love the challenge, and that's why I coach, to try to get our kids to understand that and pull it out of them. So it's what makes it fun.
Absolutely. And we are looking forward to seeing what y'all have and what the rest of the AAC has to offer here. Coming up, it seems an eternity away now, but I know it's I'm going to blink and I'm going to be doing conference previews and getting ready for the season again. So, we're just excited for it to become spring and see spring football and all that fun stuff and to eventually get back to thudding again. So, Coach, thanks for coming on tonight, and look forward to seeing what y'all have to offer come fall.
Hey, I appreciate everything you guys do. Like always, you guys really put a spotlight on NAI, and it's appreciated by, I think, everybody that's involved with NAI. NAI is really, really good football, and sometimes gets a black eye for whatever reason, but it's first class football with first class coaches that do a great job, and I appreciate you guys covering it. Hey, one idea that I think you should do:
All right.
4 games a year. You guys should do an NAI roadshow.
Ooh, that's it. Look, our goal, one of our long term things that we want to do is to do a like college game day like program, on Saturday mornings live on location. But I tell you, as we see Southwest have some fun issues right now, that airfare gets expensive, especially if you want
No
to
doubt. No
if you want to
doubt.
get up to
I'm
Montana.
with you.
Woo.
Well, you just let us know. We'll put you up.
Absolutely, and you know good and well that if I'm up there and y'all got a home game, then I'm going to be right in there for whatever home game y'all got.
Hey, I really appreciate you guys. I'm blessed to coach at Reinhardt. Blessed to work with the guys I work with. Very blessed to coach the players I coach. We got a great university, great people, great AD, great president, Dr. Roberts, Mr. Portier. So I can't just thank everybody enough. You guys, everything you put into it, you guys are just phenomenal. Appreciate you.
We appreciate you. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIF Ball Podcast presented by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. Thanks also to Leading Edge Fundraising for their support of the podcast. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the podcast as well as to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAFBALL and become a patron. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and listeners like you.